Hey everyone, Majin here. Today we have a very special video featuring the strongest, Gojo Satoru versus Yorrichi Tsuchikuni, the battle of the strongest. Right off the bat, I want to let everyone know who wants the quick answer. Gojo absolutely wins this fight, as Yorrichi has no real way of getting through infinity. But there's still a conversation to be had. I'd like to discuss these characters and their respective portrayals of the strongest archetype. And towards the latter half of the video, a theoretical win con for Yorrichi, a possible way to bypass Gojo's infinity. Spoilers for Jujutsu Kaisen and Demon Slayer. If you do not want to be spoiled, come back and enjoy the video when you're ready. But before we move on, I just want to thank you all so much for 300 subscribers, and I want to let you know how thankful I am. Our next milestone is 400. That being said, YouTube is telling me that 91% of you guys watching are not subscribed. So if you're enjoying the videos, the easiest way to support the channel and for me to keep making videos comfortably is to subscribe, like, and comment, the good stuff. Thank you. To start off, I'd like to talk about what I like about the differences and similarities in their specific portrayals, because they are both deemed the strongest in the story, in a narrative sense at least. To start, I'd like to individualize their characterizations, starting with Gojo as the personal strongest, or for better words, more dear to those who idolize his strength, while Yorrichi is more historic strongest. My meaning being that he couldn't really be appreciated for what that power made him, and only what it really allowed him. To clarify, I believe Gojo is closer to the hearts and souls of those his strengths influence, like Yuji, Megumi, Yuta, all of these different people willing to risk their lives for their teacher and his strength. Gojo's strength characterized him. It made him and those around him who they are. Whilst on the other side of the coin, Yorrichi's strength seems more mythical, not to be attained, but recorded. A mark in history, just to be remembered, as he is believed to be a monster by those who feared him, but a mystery to those who didn't. But so is Gojo. I'm not trying to take that away from him, but Yorrichi's strength seems more fossilized, and not just because he's dead, but all of his powers seem to go with him, like his sword techniques never really being properly adapted to the modern era, or even how the robot meant to replicate him couldn't even be rebuilt, as it was a product of Yorrichi's time. As even in Gojo's death, he was still able to be manipulated and used for his strength, whilst Yorrichi was studied, or for lack of a better word, mirrored, but a flawed one at that. This brings me back to their similarities. Their power is never replicated properly again, not before or after them, both born unique in their respective worlds. How the world seemed to grow stronger to match the birth of Gojo Satoru, or how Yorrichi's birth shifted his brother's fate forever, tainting him with jealousy. Both of these characters left behind their strength to help the ones after them succeed, through Gojo helped training his students, to him being the reason the main villain in Sukuna was actually bested, and with the memory of Yorrichi left behind, and for the 13 forms of sun breathing and the literal scars left behind by his blade on Muzan. They truly were the strongest, and more than strength, but also impact on the story and characters around them. Now, for everyone who came for the hypothetical battle between the strongest, just how could I get Yorrichi through infinity? But before that, let's briefly go over the stats of those fighting today, because truthfully, Yorrichi does outstat in a lot of ways. Gojo, via being the only one who fought a fully powered Sukuna, gets to CD level via the previous scaled Sukuna Fire Arrow feat in our last couple of videos, so his AP is roughly in that range, though he did lose to him, with similar feats to his Earthquake being calced to this as well, with his speeds vaguely falling below Lightning, but faster than Mach 3, via scaling over Maki and Toji outright in speed or otherwise, as well as the entire Infinity 6 Eyes kit, as well as the top tier domain usage in the series, and RCT on top of all of that as well. So with this stacked kit, Gojo offers, how could you argue Yorrichi in any scenario could pull off a win? Well, you get really, really specific. As I've argued my stance on the Slayers having no cursed energy being similarly invisible to characters like Maki and Toji in plenty of other videos on the channel at this point, as well as superior speed in every way possible, especially Yorrichi, someone who gaps diverse in pretty much every way via speed, blitzing Muzan, and effectively one-shotting him, while moving past what Muzan could even perceive, which is above any of the upper moons we've scaled in the past. So Honjanku's Lightning, or Kogashibo generally, who we've previously scaled above the perception of the other upper moons. I want to pick up my argument I alluded to back in the Toji versus Yorrichi video, link in the description. Tanjiro and Yorrichi are uniquely equipped with the Selfless State, essentially making them all the more invisible to perception-based abilities, dropping any and all killer intent, like how Akaza's magnetic compass detection could no longer pick up Tanjiro's presence, and Yorrichi was born with this ability. Okay, but what's the point of all this, you ask? It's quite simple. Gojo always has Infinity up on an automatic detection filtering dangers to himself, mainly helping with threats unaware to him. So in my hypothetical world, Yorrichi would be hired to work like an assassin, like Toji, and possibly he'd slip past the danger detection, and if Gojo were off guard, and once again I say possibly, when Effie stabbed him in the neck. But then again, this is just a fun hypothetical win-con for Yorrichi. I'm sure there's someone who could debunk this with a little more thought, but we'll see in the comment section. But if we wanted to be more generous to Yorrichi and give him Toji's kit from the hidden inventory, we'd be having a completely different conversation. Weapons like the inverted spirit of heaven, which cancels out curse techniques, paired with Yorrichi's overwhelming speed experience from living 80 years whilst Gojo died at like 30. There's no doubt that even an on-guard Gojo would lose in a matter of moments to Yorrichi with Toji's kit. But that's just my take on it. Let me know what you all think in the comments. But that's wraps for this video. Thank you all so much for watching, and as usual, my lovely links like my Twitch and my Discord will be in the description. And until next time, bye.